what's up? So in this video, I'm gonna break down point play footage that I'm getting from a student, a coach I'm working with. So we're gonna take a look at his student here and seeing an example of what things can I work on in terms of my weekly training plan. What can we do on court? What can we do off court? And basically I'm gonna break down what I'm seeing from what I can identify from this footage. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so automatically, what was wrong there? Okay. And by the way, it's the player here with the white hat. So look, so first of all, he's getting ready. Okay. In general, you want to be a lot wider in your stance. So if I look at an athlete, immediately I can tell, look at how he's standing. Look, okay. Okay. He's standing upright. Not saying you can't do this, but it's about what's going to help you more, being in a wider stance or being in a narrow stance. So automatically with this athlete, I got to establish a wide foundation in their stance and actually repeat that to them and bake it into them. Okay. So for this guy specifically, there's no split step also on his return. So that's something objective that you can see as a coach. My student is not split stepping. So you got to stop right there and let the guy know and give them constant feedback when it comes to things like that. Okay. And as a coach, one of the best things that we can do, and it's obviously harder when you're also hitting in, but try to give feedback, some useful tool that they can use, some type of correction that they can use on every point, on every shot that they're hitting, right? If it's point play, it doesn't have to be every shot, but every point, right? Some lesson about what they did, if there's a lesson to be told, right? So make sure you're giving constant feedback with this student. What is going on? Okay, pushing off the right foot. Okay, so if you look at how he's returning, he pushes off his right foot, but doesn't land forward more. So what you're missing there is push off the outside leg, but you gotta land forward more to get your weight into the shot more. So automatically there's already return is a theme that we're seeing a minute into the video. And even there, look, even if he makes that return, the footwork is not good enough there, right? Look how he goes. Look at the split step first of all. Okay, so look, give him credit. He did a little bit of a split step, right? I would argue it should be way bigger, more exaggerated. It will help him develop into a better athlete. But he pushes off the right foot. Okay, but then notice how he just turns and he's still on his right foot. He needs to transfer the weight from the right foot to the left foot, pushing forward into the court. Notice how he didn't land forward, right? So that's something objective as a coach you can see from your student, okay? Especially with footage like this. So that's something to check for. So automatically what I would be baking into his training plan is stuff like this, where, and make sure you're writing this down, is every day he needs to be doing return footwork practice, even if it's not even hitting returns, even if it's doing the split 1, 2, 3 and timing the push off the outside foot with contact in the middle, and then the last component being landing on the inside foot forward into the court. Okay, so that would be a staple thing that I would have my athlete do for at least 5 minutes a day, at least. And that's practicing it on both sides, the forehand return and backhand return, with a big split step, a huge pronounced split step. Okay. This player does a good job keeping the left hand on the racket till it bounces. It's pretty good. Okay, so let's take a look at what happens here. So one thing, when this athlete lets go of the racket, notice how their left arm drops really quickly. Okay, so take a look at it again. Let's make sure that this is actually something that they're doing. Turning. Left arm, the minute they let go of the racket, the left arm starts to drop. Okay, so that's something that technically you want to work on with your athlete. Let's say you're just rallying cross court or you're feeding them cross court balls. Make sure when they let go of the racket, their left arm stays level and it's not dropping, because that's going to get their shoulders to tilt more forward and it's just not going to be as clean of a stroke. So from a technical standpoint on the forehand, there's a lot of good things he's doing. Okay, he hits a more like ATP style forehand, but that's one thing with the left arm that I would clean up technically. Because for this athlete, he already can hit the ball, but it's like, how can we clean up the technique? Okay, before your serve, make sure you look at your target before you hit your serve. Go through your routine, then look at your target, then go to hit your serve. Okay, so if you look at here in the trophy position, his elbow is like this instead of being back, right? If I'm elbowing somebody behind me, I'm going to be more like this, right? But what he's doing is he's more here. He's more here instead of back with the elbow. So technically on the serve, he's going to get a lot more juice and power out of his serve if you can get him to, instead of like from here, get the angle set a little stronger like this. Okay, so that's a key component there. So that's one technical thing you can work with him on the serve. Okay, that's something I would be looking at every day when you're serving with him on court, and see if you can adjust him to get more of a right angle there. Okay, backhand's pretty clean. Needs to clean up the follow through. Needs to make sure he's going through the shot fully, going up with the elbows when he's brushing his backhands. That's just one ball though. We'll see if that's a pattern. Okay, open stance. Okay. So let's see one thing. Split. So he takes like one step basically. So one thing objectively that the player can do better is, okay, you hit the ball, you split step, you need to take more adjustment steps before the next shot. So what you can do is look at your athlete and then see, okay, what is one objective number that we can have? And maybe for one athlete, it's like 4 steps before the shot. For another player, it might be like 6. Right? If they're a better athlete, you can challenge them a little bit more. But that's something that I would start reinforcing and doing drills, right? If you do a serve +1 drill, have them serve, right? And then after the split, make sure they take a certain amount of adjustment steps before they execute the shot, and make that the primary focus of the drill. Let's see what you're saying here. Let's keep going through. So if you look at how he plants, you see how his right leg is like straight when he plants. It's actually bent a little bit, but he can get into a wider stance here. Let's see. He needs to also keep his left arm up longer on his serve. So if you correct the right elbow thing that I was mentioning, the next thing would be work on him keeping his left arm up longer. He drops his left arm too early. So on his forehand, the one thing to check for is make sure once he turns and goes all the way back, make sure he goes straight forward from that position. Make sure he doesn't go back even further. That's one thing that he can do better is keep the racket on the hitting side. Okay, keep the racket on the hitting side and shorten the stroke a little bit. Okay, that will help this particular athlete tremendously. See, the left arm's already dropping, like it's got to be up more. It's going to throw off his shoulder timing. It's a good serve though. Okay, let's see the footwork on the swing volley. Let's see the height of the ball that he makes contact. Does he make contact at shoulder height? Okay, so also footwork wise, he pushes off the left foot, makes contact, then hits the forehand volley. I would argue that the timing should be takes a step with the right foot, the outside foot, make contact as that's on the ground, and then the left foot can touch down afterwards. Okay, but I would recommend for the athlete to go more open stance on the swing volley. Especially when you're moving forward, your hips will be oriented more forward. It will be more athletic. So that's something you can work on in a drill where you're feeding them swinging volleys. Okay, and then the athlete can go forward and make sure you're looking at their stance, make sure they're doing the timing of the steps correctly, and they're actually getting into a more open stance on the swing volley. Okay, you can also just expose them to different types of feeds on the swing volley. You can give them more arcing ones. You can do some more that are like straight lines. So I would kind of use both and give your students some variety there. So when he's pushing off from his legs, he needs to be going forward into the ball, not away from the ball. So that's why he hits it really short. So he's going to clean up that mistake by kind of hitting short. He's going to clean that up and get it deeper by when he's pushing off, landing in front of the baseline and going actually inside of the court. Okay, notice how he decides to go close stance here. You can, but open stance is also an option. So if you notice your athlete misses some of those, I would experiment with having them go open stance on those. So wait, let's go back to that. Again, keeping the left arm level. You can see when he's hitting this, his shoulders are very slanted. You want to have more level shoulders in general, especially when you're setting up for your ground strokes. You see how here his shoulders are level? So on his normal ground strokes, he keeps his shoulder level. Like there, his shoulders are not level. So that's one thing technically he can clean up on his backhand, is get his shoulders to be more level as well. I like that. I like how he's going line there. Open stance too. That's good. That's good. Yeah. I like the positivity there. That's awesome. Yeah. Make sure when your student does something good, does a good play, you really reinforce it. Make sure you really reinforce that. That's awesome. Very good, buddy. Very good. Okay, so this is a perfect example. This is a great learning opportunity, and this is a situational that you can do with your student time and time again, okay? So the situation that you're replicating is, okay, gets a short ball on his forehand side. He has the decision. Am I going to go cross court or am I going to go down the line? Your student has to make a decision. Can I hit the ball cross court for a winner? If yes, I'm going to do it. If not, I'm going to go down the line. So based on the fact of your player's level, right, and just the level that they have and the fact that your level is your level, right, this guy, very low percent chance he's going to hit a winner forehand cross court. In my mind, if I were him, there would be some doubt that I could hit a winner cross court here based on your positioning, and you're not slow, right? So based on that, in his mind, he's got to go down the line there. So when you're training him, make sure he's aware of that component and break down the rule literally that simply to them, because that's how it's going to be easy for them to execute in points. But this is a clear example of he didn't execute it well, but I would argue strategically that was also the wrong target. So you can incorporate that by feeding a ball like that and doing different types of recovery positions and making sure he's pulling the trigger cross court only when you're kind of over recovering or when you're in a situation where he can hit a winner in that target. So, and then that's up to you to kind of make sure that he's choosing the right times. But feel free to take video of that and send it to me also. Good split step. So this guy can actually do a good split step. With him, you got to reinforce him doing it every single time, right? Also with him, I can see when he's moving, his legs are kind of unstable. So if he's not already doing 1,000 jump rope a day, he's old enough, he's strong enough, he should totally be doing 1,000 jump rope a day. So I would incorporate that into his training plan. Okay. Tough decision to hit this like that. Yeah, that should just be a forehand. So you should tell him here, okay, if you're gonna hit an overhead, you shouldn't hit it off the bounce like that. So actually teach him what he's doing wrong, right? He's trying to hit an overhead in this scenario off the bounce, right on the rise. He should learn not to do that, right? So make sure you reinforce that. Don't assume he knows. So, and then give him the solution of what to do next time. So in that scenario, he should be hitting a forehand. Wait for it to go up, come back down around chest height or shoulder height, and then he should rip a forehand there. Okay, so yeah, so that's just not the right decision there. So just make sure you break that down for him. That's good. So make sure you teach him what you did there, right? So there you saw him kind of anticipate, I believe. So he hit this one. And you started moving there early. So if you did anticipate and noticed him move, make sure you break down what your thought process was during that situation so he can learn from that. Okay? It's important to break down the thought process so they can learn how to think like you. So if he was trying to go down the line, that's a strategical error. If he just shanked the ball and missed it down the line, it is what it is. But on the run like that, he should go cross court. So then I would talk to him and see, hey, where was your target there? And then if his target was like the right location and he just messed up the execution, it is what it is, right? Nothing wrong with that. But so one other thing that I'm noticing as a pattern and a theme is this particular athlete against your shots, he struggles getting the ball not only past the service line, but he just hits short a lot. So depth would be something that I would program for your students. And I would systematically train that with zones where you isolate the cross-court rally and have him do, okay, X amount past this zone, past this target. So it could be, depending on how much time you have with the athlete, I would recommend like them to get, if this is like a really big issue in their game, which for him it is, I would have him do like 100 past that zone daily. Okay, that's something that they can also do on their own. They don't have to do it with you every day, but I would at least have them incorporate that into their training, that particular zone, that particular target, and just train their forehand cross court and backhand cross court and make sure that they're moving to each ball when they're hitting it. Make sure they're not just stationary. Okay, you'll just get a lot more out of each rep that way. So it will help their consistency when they get into points. So yeah, I would incorporate that into their training plan as well. Also, with this particular student, if footwork is a bottleneck and you want to improve his footwork, get him to be more energetic in between the points and leading up right before he split steps. Get him bouncing around a little bit more. Give him something that he can actually think about and work on. Something to do that will help him. Give him something like that. Experiment with it. See if it works. So one thing you could also teach him and coach him on is when he gives you a really short ball like that, he has to be aware, look, a player at your level is going to be able to rip it cross court or down the line, basically anywhere they want, right? So here, he's got to Make a anticipation decision and guess and go, okay? Because good players, like you did, you hit a cross-court winner there, right? Which is a good decision to make. But there, he's going to get more out of the point if he either guesses down the line or guesses cross-court and goes a little early. Because even if he sees where you're hitting, he's not going to have time to react. So his only option is guess and go before. So I would teach him that strategical lesson, and you can do scenarios where he gives you short balls, and based on, different circumstances, based on different factors, then you can kind of do different shots, right? So put him through the ringer with that drill and let me know how it works. That's great. That's great. So when your student does something great like this, they hit a return, they came into net, just be aware of this. It's not a mystery why this was one of the first balls he's hitting deep. When he gets his body weight through the ball, he can hit it deep, perfectly fine. But that's a systematic issue he has of getting the body weight through the shots. And when he doesn't do that, that's why there's a lot of short balls. So if you can fix that for this guy, you're going to help him tremendously. Okay? So pay attention though and give him a lot of credit when he does that successfully. Be aware of, okay, wait, this guy just did something great. What did he do to get that? Okay, he hit his return and came into net. Okay, wait, maybe in practice, maybe let's do that for 5 to 10 minutes in part of our practice. He's hitting some returns, he hits it and comes into net, right? So you can also problem solve like that. And I would also put that specific thing I just mentioned into his training plan. Okay. It's a tough one to the body. But still, his footwork can be way better on his returns. He clearly doesn't know the right footwork for returns. Run him through how to return and how to do the footwork. If you have questions about that, let me know. Okay. So from here, he's hitting it inside out forehand. He's on the backhand side. He's on his backhand side. Should he go cross court to hit a winner where you already are standing? Probably not. So he should probably go inside in down the line here and come into net. Good. Very good. If that went in. I don't know if that went in. That was a good target, though, that he went to. Should he go cross or line? He should go line here. Okay, wait, so let's see why this guy missed the shot. Let's see the reason why he missed this. Okay, so first of all, if you want this guy to fix this and actually correct this for good, coach him to move up to the ball, plant open stance, pop out into a wide base with the right foot here, the left foot there where it is, but get the right foot over here more. I promise you, you're going to see a drastic night and day difference with your athlete. Try it with them and let me know. Okay? Because the error there, a little bit long, it's actually not a bad error. But when I see that with the legs, with the footwork, that's a big red flag to me. Okay? I would say the same thing if that was a pro player. I would say the same thing. So that's what I would be focusing on with that. I would focus on what's within his control with the stance, with the footwork preparation. And then, yeah, I would reinforce that, okay, going down the line there was a good target. That was good. Maybe don't try to hit it so loopy, right? But good miss. Good miss. Tell him it was a good miss. Like, that's okay. He needs to keep the left arm up more. Again. Again, his default is to go close stance. No. Default should be open stance. Short ball, do some more footwork. Go open stance, bro. Be more athletic. You're going to get more out of your athletes by having them go open stance on neutral balls. Promise you. Cross. Good. Again, like to me, if this was my trophy position, I would be worried. I would be worried majorly right now, right? So make sure he's aware that this is his trophy position that he's getting into. He needs to keep this left arm straight. From the left fingertip to the right elbow, that has to be a straight line. So when you're working on him on his serve, technically, make sure you work on that. Get it to be a straight line and not so disconnected like this. Good hustle. If your student is running a lot and putting in a lot of effort like that, make sure you reinforce that. Give them credit. Give them props for it. You want to reinforce the things that they're doing well. Very little split step. That's a very bad split step in my opinion. He needs to put more weight on his left leg on his return. That's why he's hitting it short. I like the wide stance here. Should go more open stance on that. I like that he ran for that. That's good. So that's a ball that your athlete you can slice that if you want to slice it, but you shouldn't have to slice that ball. That ball, you should be able to move up, bend your knees, and hit a topspin backhand as well. Okay? So make sure your athletes aren't bailing out of the movement aspect and slowing down their movement and using the slice to bail out of that component. So just keep your athletes in check when it comes to that. Again, so he should take the ball out of the air on that. So he should come in faster. But if you're going to let it bounce, he shouldn't take it off the rise like that. Okay? If he's going to let it bounce, he has to let it bounce, come up, and then he has to hit it in his strike zone, which is between his mid-thigh height and mid-chest height. It could even be a little bit higher since it's a short ball. It could even be a little bit higher than the strike zone, the standard strike zone. So make sure you tell him that, and you'll start to train him on how to think out there, because he does not know. Solid. Cool. Yeah. So I would focus on those themes primarily in the training plan. So I would focus on the returns, the serves, and I would work on some of the technical aspects that we broke down here. But then I would give him daily action items to work on, whether it's the return footwork, right? Some of the technical things to reinforce on his serve, okay? The correct things we mentioned there. So make sure you go through and take notes on everything that I spoke about today. But yeah, so when it comes to the training plan, I'm going to send you a sample plan that you can use, but I want you to customize it based on what we spoke about today from this footage, okay? And then create a daily action list for your athlete. And with that, once you have the daily action list of daily what they're going to do, then since you work with them in person as well, prioritize the most important things from that list, and then block it out and plan it minute by minute for your in-person sessions based on how much time you have, okay? And then they can still do the other stuff when they're not with you because you programmed it for them, okay? So let me know if you have any questions about anything there, but take a stab at it, send it back to me so I can review it. And yeah, I hope those drills and insights helped, man. So any other questions, feel free to send me a message. But yeah, I will see you in the next one.